Lewis Hamilton took a surprise podium in Bahrain F1 season opener. However, struggles in Jeddah and Australia underline that much work still needs to be done for Mercedes to be contending for wins again. Are they still among contenders for this year's Formula 1 title? Hello F1 fans, and welcome back to our non-stop racer channel. Without further ado, let's begin today's show. Mercedes dominated their rivals during an unparalleled 8 winning streak in Formula 1, and were rarely out of contention for a triumph in any race from 2014 to the end of 2021, about 160 races. While a new era of Formula 1 began in 2022 with drastically different cars and rules, their supremacy made them the apparent favorites for this year. However, Mercedes have already suffered an embarrassing Q1 exit in qualifying and confess they are nowhere near rivals Ferrari and Red Bull in the first 3 exhilarating races of the new season. Mercedes is in the position of being out of the title challenge with 21 races remaining. It is clear that the Mercedes team aren't at their best and are far behind what we expected from them this season. For all the skeptics who thought the team was sandbagging, deliberately underperforming to disguise their car's capabilities, that wasn't the case this time around. After 3 rounds, the Silver Arrows sit second in the constructors' standings, but they are a long way behind the frontrunners Ferrari. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton have each earned 1 podium, aided by Verstappen losing power, which led to him dropping out of the race in Bahrain. They are unable to battle for race wins in a W13 car that suffers from intense bouncing on the straights and is obviously slower than its rivals' cars through the corners. Hamilton came into the season hoping to win a record-breaking 8th driver's title and the Mercedes a 9th consecutive constructor's crown. Still, both seem impossible unless the team can drastically improve its car. Mercedes is on the back foot going into Italy Grand Prix 2022. So what's the problem? In the first Grand Prix of the year, the Ferraris were victorious over the Silver Arrows. Before the Red Bull cars retired, they were in 5th and 6th place. Mercedes was nowhere near the front of the pack in terms of performance and pace. Everyone was suspicious throughout testing, claiming that Mercedes was sandbagging as they'd done in previous seasons, but it turns out that they are genuinely in trouble. It's worth noting that this was the German team's weakest season opening qualifying session since 2011. That's a period of 11 years. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell were extremely fortunate to finish 3rd and 4th in Bahrain after the Red Bull drivers retired. Porpoising, an old phenomenon that new invention-era cars have brought back from the 1980s, is Mercedes' most serious issue. Porpoising happens when these new autos are sucked closer to the earth and attain top speeds and aerodynamic loads. The underfloor aero breaks down, and most of the downforce is lost if the floor dips too low for the airflow. The phenomenon causes the car to rise again, increasing the ride height and allowing the cycle to repeat itself very quickly. The Mercedes is bouncing around like a lowrider because of this. Isn't that the case? It's crucial for all these new era cars to drive as efficiently as possible in order to maximize performance. However, the Silver Arrows car are not as capable as those of other teams. Furthermore, the W13's rear end is horrible in all slow and medium speed turns. As a result, the rear tires become hotter, indicating greater deterioration. All of these issues might result in a loss of 0.3 to 0.4 seconds every lap. So imagine how much time is wasted over the course of a 60-lap race. This is what Mercedes F1 team driver George Russell said. It's having a big impact on the tires because you're bouncing into the turn at every braking zone, and the rears are just skipping under braking because the car is so unsettled. We know that if we can unleash the performance, it will benefit everyone. It will benefit the tires, the brakes, and we will gain more of a grip as a result of it. It appears that this issue will be resolved in a couple of weeks rather than days. Toto Wolff, team manager, said that Bahrain Grand Prix was a test for the Mercedes to figure out where the gaps between them and the top teams, Ferrari and Red Bull. He explained more than just bringing parts. It's an understanding on how we can unlock the potential that we feel is in the car, or what we hope is in the car, before throwing bits at it in terms of performance. The fact that purposing cannot be duplicated in a simulator or a wind tunnel poses the greatest problem. As a result, the next few Grand Prix will serve as testing grounds for them. Another issue that Formula 1 fans have raised is the engine. The 3 Mercedes power team, McLaren, Aston Martin, and Williams, have a dreadful time in the Bahrain and Australia. However, we'll need more races to get a good idea on the new German engines. However, despite all this, Wolff believes they are not out of the title race. Toto Wolff, the Mercedes team principal, is unwilling to give up hope of his team winning either the Formula One world title or the Constructors' Championship in 2022, despite believing the chances are stacked against them. However, Wolff believes that there is still potential for the club to make a comeback. After the Melbourne race, Wolff said, "I believe we are at a disadvantage. I say the odds are 8-2 if we look at that from a statistical and probability aspect. But this is motor racing, so that anything can happen. Teams can DNF, but if we unlock the car's potential, we can get back into the game. As a motor racer, I'd say it's probably between 40 and 60. As a mathematician, I believe the chances are stacked against us much more." Wolff believes that it is far too early in the season to rule his squad out of contention at the head of the pack. He added, "Third race of the season, we are not going to write the title off, but it is just the current status quo. We are, what was the gap, 7/10 off." However, Mercedes also underestimated regulation changes. Toto Wolff has revealed that Mercedes miscalculated some of the modifications to the 2022 aerodynamic regulations, and the team is now working to find a solution. Following the first practice sessions at the Australian Grand Prix, the W13 appeared to be about 1.4 seconds per lap slower around the Albert Park circuit than the fastest Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Mercedes continues to battle the effects of purposing, which driver George Russell claims he felt more intensely than ever on the first day of racing in Melbourne. According to Wolff, Mercedes has a quick remedy for their underperforming car, but it would forfeit the progress the team has achieved in other areas of development, thus returning the team to square one. For the time being, Mercedes intends to stick with their W13 car to regain competitiveness as soon as they find a treatment for porpoising. Speaking to the Australian outlet Krone, Wolff has admitted that we misjudged the underbody aerodynamic effect, and we are now attempting to address it without taking the apparent approach. The simplest solution would be to stiffen the floor. However, we feel that we can keep the aerodynamic performance without making it too difficult. Because exceptionally high speeds cannot be practiced in a simulator, this must be learned on the racetrack. So the question is, will Mercedes be able to recover, and when will they find a solution? Mercedes has planned phased upgrades over the next several races, and their second update is anticipated to arrive in Italy GP, giving them at least some performance. However, this may not be a fast fix. The car is not as fast as Red Bull or a Ferrari and is stuck in the middle of nowhere. We anticipate them making progress, but it will take some time. This is not a quick remedy. Mercedes claims that they are attempting to accumulate as many points as possible until they are back in form for race wins as well as pole positions. There won't be any significant panic just yet, given their experience and track record of figuring things out. Just look at the last year's revamp of Red Bull. But the concern will be how far ahead Ferrari and Red Bull will be once they have unlocked the car's potential. Will they be able to close the gap in time? Now, over to you. What are Mercedes' chances of winning the F1 this season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for staying tuned. Click the notification bell icon so that you never miss out on another upload. And don't forget to like and subscribe.